arthritis, and again, other autoimmune conditions that may be affecting respiratory function, immune function. Systemically, dysbiosis has the ability to influence autoimmunity and to deregulate immune function. When it comes to heart disease, there is also really good evidence that leukocyte adhesion, which is an important part of the etiology of cardiovascular disease, having that leukocyte adhesion, having the oxidized low-density lipoproteins infiltrate the artery lining, this is accelerated by leukocyte adhesion. And those leukocytes or those blood cells become much more likely to adhere when they are inflamed and become regulated by a variety of substances that may either detect amino ASD in systemic circulation. That, of course, has substances such as the lipopolysaccharides that are produced by specific, or generated by specific, I should say, microbial or bacterial populations. And they can activate the lipopolysaccharides produced by primarily gram-negative bacteria, can activate a white blood cell and can really increase, because of the inflammation that will occur when that white blood cell is activated, can significantly increase the permeability of the blood-brain barrier. This is what can cause problems with neuron health and cause microglial type development. And when I say certain microbial populations have the ability to generate these lipopolysaccharides, the phenomenon of gram-negative bacteria, some examples of gram-negative bacteria to take to cell biology or microbiology, many of these, not all of them, some are benign potential bacteria, but many of the more problematic pathogens are gram-negative, such as the Shigella producing, toxin-producing gram-negative bacteria, Salmonella, Klebsiella is one that I have always had on my radar, of course, because people clinically, because Klebsiella is really implicated, or Klebsiella overgrowth, I should say, is implicated in a host of autoimmune conditions because of how unique it is in producing a variety of substances that are often misinterpreted by our immune systems. And I think, using Klebsiella pneumonia as an example of where a specific type of dysbiosis or presence of a pathogen can initiate inflammation and autoimmunity is one of the best examples I can give. It's really fascinating. So Klebsiella is something that many of us carry in small numbers within our GI. What the percentage of the population of a Klebsiella family bacteria has to get to where it's an issue is it's an important question. I don't think we know definitively yet, but certainly higher levels of Klebsiella are a risk factor for a variety of autoimmune diseases. And this is really how it unfolds. Klebsiella, in response to dietary starch, produces an enzyme that helps it digest the starch. That enzyme is remarkable, but it's called a pololinase. And a pololinase produced by this family of bacteria helps digest highly branched starches, which we call amylopectin. Now, this pololinase, which is an enzyme, is in contact with our blood border, our intestinal lining. Unfortunately, we have a very similar amino acid sequence to a variety of collagen types in the human body. What happens is when that pololinase reaches the blood lining, it's in constant exposure. The immune system, you can see on this slide, a variety of polinases are used to degrade this amylopectin to smaller glucose chains or smaller liposaccharides. That pololinase is interpreted by our immune system eventually as a pathogen. And because Klebsiella is chronically producing this enzyme to digest the starch in our diet, and we're feeding the Klebsiella population by eating significant quantities of dietary starch, then we have overproduction of this enzyme. It is interpreted by the immune system as a threat or a pathogenic invader. And then eventually, because of this similarity between the protein code that makes up the enzyme and the protein code of our collagen, eventually our immune system starts to attack our collagen. And this is, in essence, ankylosing spondylitis, a debilitating autoimmune disease that is growing in terms of its incidence. And one of the most effective ways to mitigate symptoms or to treat this condition is by placing an individual with ankylosing spondylitis on the appropriate antibiotic-based treatment and a low-starch, or in particular, a low amylopectin-containing diet. That would be, for instance, like potatoes. They're a very rich source of amylopectin, as opposed to amyloids, which can be found in higher concentrations of, say, rice. So this is just one example of a particular type of dysbiosis that is found when we have Klebsiella overgrowth. But there are, again, yes?
Can I just interrupt? Your mic is a bit scratchy. Is there any adjustment you can make?
Let me unplug my... Is that any better?
I believe so, yeah. That's a good way to protect you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So these different families of gram-negative bacteria that overgrow or become a real dominant force within the GI, those are sources of dysbiosis. And, ultimately, it's just one example. There are others, such as the Shigella bacteria in Crohn's disease as well, Citrobacter. starts to recognize the sources of flora as an imbalance and overgrowth, that's where the inflammation is really coming from. So correcting this may involve antibiotic therapy, the other substances may be used as well to shift populations, whether it be mechanical oils or other things. But ultimately, it's really important to consider dietary manipulation because that's what will affect the metabolism of these pathogens. And Klebsiella might require a low animal effective or low starch diet, sometimes referred to as a London diet. But if someone has Shigella overgrowth, I would recommend a diet that was very low in Shigella acid, NEU, IGC. That diet would be really low in protein or no protein. It's very low in dairy, maybe no dairy. Protein, eggs, fish, which are basically free of that form of Shigella acid, NEU, IGC. The same might be true of Hashimoto's as well. Certain metabolites are much more important for specific families of bacteria that have become pathogenic. So we'll try to save a good amount of time for questions towards the end of this. So the next area where, dietary factors influence inflammation would look at the role of substances that influence, one of these gatekeepers to that level of intestinal permeability or those tight junctions. One of those gatekeepers is referred to as inflammasome. And inflammasome is really, the best way to describe it is a complex structure of proteins that regulate both gene expression and protein production within a cell. And these inflammasomes are in almost all cells. And they really influence what happens at the surface of the cell that's produced for proteins that, in the case of the gut lining, can really open or close doorways and can produce substances that trigger inflammatory cascades that usually instruments. Inflammasomes are in constant contact with every aspect of our diet, every ingredient, every molecule within our diet ultimately has the ability to upregulate or downregulate this inflammasome activity. And when we look at some of the more potent examples of inflammasome stimulating substances, they are also quite often highly interactive with another important gatekeeper of the intestinal lining, which are called inducible heat shock proteins. And the abbreviation on this slide has the IHSP. So inducible heat shock protein is really a protein that also controls the entry of substances between cells. In the case of the intestinal lining, it can help repair damage, and some of the important ability that they have to generate something like soluble. So these inducible heat shock proteins, coupled with the overall inflammasome response within a cell, together fulfill that needs to be so we can keep substances out of the blood, we can keep substances out of circulation that can drive inflammation at time or condition producing, symptom producing, or disease causing levels. So these are two really important mechanisms to understand. And some of the substances that are very potent inflammasome and inducible heat shock protein alternate ingredients are found in a wide variety of plants. They're called lectins. Now, lectins ultimately are produced by plants in an effort to defend themselves against a variety of pests. Let's say insects, they may be herbivores or graze on a particular food. But lectins defend the plant in the area of body. They are the primary defense mechanism used by plants against a variety of pressures within their food system. Most lectins have an ability to make either the red blood cells or the white blood cells, for instance, an animal, agglutinate or form into clumps. Again, I show you this slide from the reverse that you see at the bottom of the slide, so that it becomes clear that there are certain sources of dietary lectins which are much more well studied and well understood than others. And on this slide, you see Phaseolus vulgaris, that's kidney bean. Another example of Oligos biflorus, the third one down, that's the cowpea. These are very common legumes that are consumed typically infrequently by most populations in the world. But some people develop dietary habits and practices where they eat one of these things quite regularly. And they have adverse effects on people. Sometimes it's much more so one individual than another, but these are prime examples of glucoagglutinators. In the case of the cowpea, hemogglutinator, they really cause problems for white and red blood cells. So they're considered toxins in the field of toxicology. And for people that dive into this deeper, there are some references I can share with you again towards the end of this talk. But lectins are naturally occurring, even though they are part of a plant-based diet, can be significant sources of inflammation because of the way they affect hemodynamics or the way they affect the gut lining. And really, to clearly understand that, it's just important to know that something like the cowpea, for instance, the lectin that has been isolated from the cowpea is true of other legumes. These have been used for decades as methods once they're isolated. They've been used as methods of selecting or anticipating certain blood types. So when labs are trying to look for certain patterns of type A blood, they use the lectin isolated from the cowpea to make those red blood cells from blood of type A blood agglutinate so that it's usable. Strange. This is not new information in the area of hemodynamics and toxicology. Somebody new really presented this to clinicians of all types, and they started to understand that these lactins survive human digestion. They survive cooking only kidney beans for an extended period of time. It really does, doesn't produce a significant drop-off in the lactic content of kidney beans. It's an example of a type of legume. Isn't that compatible with human physiology because of the lactic concentration? And it really comes down to the communication of the topic. But you're all in the topic of inflammation. The inflammasome is upregulated with exposure to these agglutinates, these lactins. And just like it is with certain bacterial populations are in greater quantities, there's an ability to downregulate that inflammasome. And again, the best example would be your lactobacilli, strains of gram-positive bacteria that's commonly found in yogurt. Rhamnosus is another excellent example of a bacterial technology to downregulate the inflammasome, the inflammasome reaction. And when it comes to injectable leach proteins, our goal is to keep those upregulated so that we have a good tight intestinal lining without that permeability and less inflammation. And similar families of bacteria that we know have better associations with most types of health, with psychodigestive health, with neurological health. They're the same families of bacteria that have larger populations of when it comes to upregulating as a glutamate. Injectable leach proteins, those are the bifidobacter families. It's again, lactobacilli, rhamnosus. These are also very beneficial when it comes to upregulating injectable leach proteins. So these lactins are a part of it. They're a part of the big picture here. But every bit as important, maybe even more critical, is having well-diverse and well-represented families before families of bacteria. But the research on lectins and a wide variety of chronic diseases that range from autoimmune type and neurological diseases is well established. I think it should give all of us reason for many of our patients to consider a more carbohydrate specific or low lectin, certain types of lectins, at least a lower lectin containing diet. Again, it's not to say that all lectins are harm. We're going to talk really about the most damaging forms of lectins. The two that are the most damaging are lectins found in the large broad beans, kidney beans, fava beans, these larger beans, and wheat germ. The wheat germ WGA is noted as destructive as a phytohemoglobin found in kidney beans, DHA, and WGA are really the most damaging agglutinators that have been studied to date. To say that after looking at this research for the last 20 years, I feel very strongly that people get better without wheat germ, and do much better without kidney beans, all people. And it's really just common sense that I feel at this point to recommend diets, especially for people who have gut issues, high levels of inflammation. Recommend diets that contain either oils, but here's some other references that you find interesting on this topic. Phytohemoglobin and the wheat germ agglutinators. This is really the mechanism of quality that comes down to taking white blood cells or red blood cells and things. So as I mentioned earlier, not all lectins have the same overall effect. It's very interesting. You take a look at the lectins that are found in buckwheat, for instance, or the chickpea, or maso beans, I should say. These are examples of, although the buckwheat isn't really a grain, it's a dicot, so it's one of the vegetable family. And chickpeas are certainly legumes, but these are examples of lectin rich foods, which appear to promote more favorable physiological responses because they do not stimulate the inflammasome the same way. They do not suppress the injectable leach proteins the same way. And so these would be examples of legume and grain-like based foods where there's much greater compatibility, and the observations made of a wide variety of investigations that range from ecological to small animal-based interventions would suggest that these are going to be much more compatible, much more healthy additions to a population diet. So it's not to say that all lectins are damaging, it's just to say that we've got some with more numerous track records than others. Shifting gears, now looking at some of we've talked a little bit about gliadin, which is the type of gluten that's been most researched, most heavily investigated by people like Alessio Fasano, however it produces or stimulates insulin production. We know that there are other less compatible proteins, and one of those that I speak about quite frequently when it comes to inflammation is the role of A1 beta casein, which is found in certain types of milk. And most often found in modern varieties or intensive bred varieties of cow, the Holstein cow, for instance, being the best example of a predominant source of A1 beta casein in the average American North American diet. And that's because most Holstein cows are the predominant cow in our dairy herd. Well, A1 beta casein is very, very different than A2 beta casein in terms of the way that the human body responds to it. But the differences molecularly are actually very subtle. They're only different in one amino acid, and it's way on down the protein chain. It's almost 70 amino acids into the protein complex. There's one amino acid difference, but it produces a different response in the body. And this has to do with the way that fragment survives digestion, which it quite often does, and it enters circulation through a higher level of intestinal permeability. That fragment of casein in protein A1 beta casein will stimulate a much, much different immune response by the human body than the A2 casein fragment, which is found in older varieties of cows, such as the Guernsey cow but it's always goats and sheep milk, I should note, are always A2 casein types. The Guernsey is the only cow that is always A2 casein, so it's a really safe choice. But other varieties of cows have that genetics. So you'll see cow milk, which is unfortunately the vast majority of milk in our right? We go to the grocery store, you purchase milk with blindfold on, it's almost always going to be A1 dominant or whole milk. But if you are selective with dairy products, it's becoming much easier to choose varieties that are predominantly or all A2. You can go cheese milk varieties or now sourcing A2 tested milk in Ohio. There's companies like Discovery Creamery, which is all A2 milk. Out west, Colorado, California, it's become very easy to find A2 tested milk in the grocery store, like a variety of companies. And in the Northeast, you could find it at a co-op or at a health food store if you were finding milk that said it was from Guernsey cows or Jersey cows that had been tested. So we're at a point now where people are becoming much more aware of the differences between A1 and A2 milk. And to be quite honest, when you hear associations made between a variety of dairy products and inflammation, gut issues, I think what's important for all of us to take on is to consider the source of that dairy product. Is it predominantly A1, casein, or is it A2? Almost all of this research has been done that shows a link between inflammation or gut intolerance. Almost all of this research has been done with A1 casein. The research has been done with A2 in areas like New Zealand and Australia show a very, very different response to the human population exposure to dairy products. A2 is much more compatible and much less inflammatory than A1 beta casein. So it's something I encourage all of you to look into greater detail. If you want to include dairy products in your patient size, not to say that dairy products have to be included, but they can be a great source of a variety of nutrients. It's just important to understand the details. Now, I mentioned advanced glycosylated end products earlier, and one of the 5 sources of increased intestinal permeability and gut wall or GI-based inflammation. Again, these advanced glycosylated end products can be formed in a variety of manners, whether that is because we have high concentrations of fructose in circulation. That would be a cause because fructose readily cross-reacts with proteins and as well as other molecules to produce these AIM molecules, but it can certainly be produced in processing with high heat cooking. It just requires 1 or 2 different substrates. It could require something that has an end chain. It could certainly be found in something that has a high fat or lipid content, and it can be found in things that have both a glucose content as well as a fat or a protein content. It really doesn't take very much carbohydrates to be present in food. Or at high heat, a small amount of carbohydrates found in side chains of different glycans found in skin of chicken, for instance. It's really becomes a very, very rich source of these AIM molecules that cross-reacts with the proteins and fats in that particular meat. But certainly heavily roasted seeds, heavily heated dairy products that ultra pasteurized and processed are going to be rich sources besides the obvious sources which would be ground and blackened meats, chicken and fish, those would be very, very high sources. These molecules are very inflammatory in a variety of areas of our physiology. We're talking about the renal system, we're talking about the gut lining. They're a very significant source of inflammation. Some of the research in animals is fascinating to look at how much inflammation can be generated with high age diet and how quickly it can be attenuated or shut off when the age content of that animal's diet is deemed restricted. It really gives us, I think, just one more tool to work with our patients or our populations that we serve as a way to educate them. Low heat cooking, cooking foods in liquids or with acids are always going to be much more healthy manners of preparing food that's going to protect our blood vessels and eventually our kidneys and intestinal lining. A really significant amount of research on age molecules in the house now that one can dive into. But it's just important to try to keep acid in the cooking system, whether that's something like tomato juice or tomato sauce, lemon juice, lime juice. These are all examples of acids that can stop, this age production. Cooking things in liquids can keep the temperature much lower as well. So it's always better to do that than to grill brown or blackened animal proteins, eat more raw nuts and seeds. And that really brings us, in addition to getting the artificial ingredients out of a patient's diet, artificial colorings, artificial flavorings, preservatives, emulsifiers, carrageenan, for instance. All of these really need to go as we try to restore gut health and reduce inflammation. So that would be, again, that fifth category of dietary ingredients or compounds that can drive inflammation. That brings us to our overall clinical pearls. And how is it that we apply some of this information we've discussed today to reduce a patient's inflammation? And let's take us to these most salient points. Eliminate meat, first and foremost. And it's not just because of meat. I think that's where we often see misinterpretations. I mean, wheat-free diet is most of the investigation is on gluten. So some of these trials use isolated gluten as part of the investigation. And I think that using wheat germ glutenator or WGA would be every bit as important or critical in terms of investigating the benefits of a wheat-free diet with the gluten. So I think it's important to get rid of gluten and to get rid of wheat overall as a way to reduce inflammation and improve the gut environment. Eliminate soybean products and other large, broad bean or legumes that have high levels of PAH or phytohemoglutators. So even if a peanut allergy is undiagnosed because there's a significant amount of lactic found in peanuts that are a member of that broad bean family, avoid all A1 and beta casein containing dairy products and choose A2 types, again, goat cheese, milk, birds, and cow. We talked about high heat applications. It's best to try to reduce the temperatures to under 300 Fahrenheit. 212 is going to be a much safer place to be when it comes to age formation. Eliminate any added sugar in flour-based products, as these are primary areas of developing dysbiosis. Of course, there are a lot of different ways that an individual could develop dysbiosis or particular bacterial or eukaryotic species overgrowth, but yeast, gram-negative bacteria, we talked a little bit about Klebsiella, Citrobacter, for instance. These are bacteria that do really prefer very high carbohydrate, refined carbohydrate, in case of Klebsiella, high amylopectin, starch-based diets. If we can reduce the amount of sugar in flour-based products in a patient's diet, that can go a long way to supporting changes that we want to make within the microbiome. Better choices: choose organic rice or buckwheat whenever possible as better grains. In the case of buckwheat, a pseudo grain that will have more benefits and less drawbacks than those from the wheat or barley family. Choose organic lentils, smaller legumes like the aduki or azuki bean or chickpeas. Choose these types of beans or lentils more often as the legume, and try to use extensive cooking and heating times, meaning that they're simmering or boiling for a couple hours as opposed to just 30 minutes. This can help. This type of extensive cooking and the soaking and fermentation process can significantly reduce the lectin content. Choose organic raw nuts and seeds over those that have been heavily heated or roasted. I talked about cooking meats at lower temperatures, using acidic juices or the juices of vegetables, making stews and stewed soups is really the way to go. And limit sugar to those which are, naturally occurring in fruits, and for the fruits that we eat most often, it's always best to choose fruits that have the most upsides, the polyphenol, blood contents, or acids, and less in the way of fructose, with the variations in potatoes, along with endospecific family. And so with that, I'm going to give you the herb of remembrance, rosemary, and hopefully we can remember some of this. And now what I'd like to do the last 10 minutes that we have is answer what questions that you may have.
John, if you go to the question tab, you'll be able to.
Great.
I can read them too if that's easier.
Yeah, sure. I will. I'll start out with. Let's see. A lot of it has to do with the noise. I really apologize for the scratching mic.
Yeah, I prepared those, so I have a list here. I'll read them to you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay. Which metabolites feed pathogenic bacteria? What food are they in?
Sure. Well, that's a great question. And the metabolites that are going to be more of a problem for an individual with dysbiosis, those metabolites are going to primarily, if you want to look at closely, those are going to be a function of the pathogenic bacteria that is playing a role in a person's autoimmune or inflammatory-based condition. So I gave a couple examples. One that we know really well is, again, Klebsiella. That's why the London diet that was developed well over a decade ago now has been so effective in helping people with ankylosing spondylitis. But another example would be the Shigella toxin, the Shigella family of E. coli that many people have exposure to. That is a really interesting microbe because when people have diets higher in red meat and or dairy, that particular microbe can take sialic acid, NAD5-G6 found really in red meat and dairy products, and it can incorporate that into our own tissues, and that will stimulate autoimmune attack of those particular tissues. And it's been shown with Crohn's disease as well as with Hashimoto's, an autoimmune disease of the thyroid. So I can't say that there's a particular dietary metabolite for, that's going to feed all of these families that can drive autoimmune. It is highly dependent on the family of bacteria, but really sugar, and I think most of us know that sugar, refined carbohydrates, refined starches tend to drive more types of dysbiosis in the human microbiome than any other family of foods or groups of foods. So that would be my starting point. To answer this question, best I can, there was a starting point would be to eliminate added sugar, refined carbohydrates, refined starches that are going to be, most often feeding particular patterns of dysbiosis.
Can you share the specific bacteria associated with Hashimoto's?
Sure. That one example is the Shigella bacteria that I just mentioned.
What is your take on oil intake on inflammation, such as olive oil, for example?
This is something I look at really closely for a variety of reasons. Once in my clinical practice, I used to recommend that people would use more fish oil. And I now do not recommend that. Every year I try to take a very, very close look at a variety of oils and the role that they play on the inflammasome, intestinal permeability, overall health. And I'm at a point now where I think extra virgin olive oil and organic flax oil are the two liquid oils that I feel most confident in as being great additions for less inflammation and not causing any inflammation. I also think many people can do very, very well with these are not liquid oils like coconut oil, grass-fed butter, these are solid fats and lipids. But I think it's really important to limit the oil in a personal patient's diet to high-quality extra virgin olive oil, which has been shown to, from everything we've talked about this morning, reduce stage 4 fats, whether it's reducible heat shock proteins, inflammasome, really reducing inflammation. Extra virgin olive oil, organic flax oil are my two top choices. I think they have anti-inflammatory properties in addition to being very well tolerated or not producing inflammation anyway.
So a few questions about lectins. I'm going to just kind of tell them also. There's a question about lectins and lectins. Can we correlate the amount of lectin and appears to be more damaging? Examples of beans, legumes with positive lectin profiles.
Is that exactly correct?
Yes, and then just how the role of glyphosate as well, with lectins on chickpeas and legumes.
Sure. So I'll start off with just the broad talk of lectins. And again, I mentioned this at the top, but lectins are a very, very broad category of plant defense proteins. These are substances produced by plants to defend themselves against a variety of pests. Now, they're not all damaging to the human gut lining, but some are, and some also have the potential to cause our red blood cells or our white blood cells to be less effective and to cause abnormality within that area of physiology that we call chemomethanogenesis, as we're really looking at what are the different attributes of our blood and our blood's ability to defend ourselves, to carry oxygen, to help circulate everything needed by the body. Once you start to disrupt red blood cell function and white blood cell function, you're really opening up a significant potential here for suboptimal human health. So I don't think it's good for us to consume those substances that have good amounts of clinical evidence that they're lectins. This would be the kidney bean, the fava bean, the jack bean, the broad bean. These are big, broad beans with notable chemoagglutinators. These are lectins that cause damage to various blood cell types. I recommend avoiding these rich sources of lectins. But I do not, at this point in time, have any clinical evidence that one should avoid chickpeas, small red beans like the aduki beans, or lentils. Even the black bean, I would say, it would be circumspect to recommend avoiding black beans because I don't have enough damaging evidence on the lectins contained in black beans. But I do with kidney beans and the big raw beans. This probably has a lot to do with the amount of energy and food that's available in one of these big pods that sits in the ground for a period of time. It's going to be desired by a variety of pests in that environment. So that plant's not really has to defend itself more aggressively than, say, a lentil, which has a shorter germination time, so it doesn't have the available carbohydrate, etc. So not to get suggested here with the body, but I don't have the evidence, and I have some evidence that people who eat chickpeas are more nourished. There's a wonderful paper, a few years old now, that was done in the UK and looked at populations that had varying levels of chickpeas in their diet. And those that had more chickpeas in their diet, and they had higher biomarkers that indicated good levels of nourishment and better overall health. So, when it comes to chickpeas and lentils, I generally have only seen good things in the literature. They do contain lectins, but those lectins do not appear to cause the same type of damage to the gut lining for various aspects of our blood that the pig peas do. So that, I hope can answer that question. I don't think people need to avoid lentils, chickpeas, or the smaller legumes because there is evidence though in kidney bean in particular that it's damaging. And I also recommend that people avoid members of the wheat family because of the lectins contained there. But I don't recommend that people avoid rice or buckwheat for that matter because they do not have lectins with damaging effects to the human GI. So that would be my longest sort of lectins. It's something that I will continue to investigate at least monthly because I always review any new paper that's come through in this area of food science. Now, the last part of that question had to do with glyphosate. Glyphosate, what I do know about glyphosate is as an herbicide, it damages the Shigalati pathway, and that rendering that pathway or incapacitating that prevents the bacteria from producing important enzyme or linked amino acid aromatic amino acids like tyrosine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine, and that will really limit the population of important families of bacteria, which are very anti-inflammatory and that play pivotal roles in outcompeting pathogens. And so glyphosate suppresses bifidobacter populations, and bifidobacter populations are really important for the intestinal environment, and they outcompete Clostridia, for instance, which is that's an example of dysbiosis that we really all want to avoid, and that's an example of why we want to avoid high sugar and refined carbohydrate-based diet because Clostridia really feeds on those metabolites. So, I would say that in summary, glyphosate damages the microbiome by eliminating bifidobacter populations in individuals with glyphosate exposure, and that's going to make them more susceptible to particular pathogen overgrowth.
Okay. What about the use of digestive enzymes to support digestion of some of these problematic compounds?
Absolutely. I think people can really improve the gut environment with a combination of digestive enzymes. Some individuals require more acid support in the upper GI. We have a large number of people that have very, very low levels of gastric hydrochloric acid production. That's going to compromise gut health. So I think digestive enzymes is a great tool for clinicians to use for people who have high levels of gut-based inflammation. It's either demonstrated or suspected that there's a high level of permeability there. I would definitely recommend a digestive enzyme that contains significant amounts of particular proteases, which are often called DPP. These are dipeptide proteases, like DPP, Roman numeral 4. That's a very beneficial one for people with that prolonged gut wall damage from exposure to certain methods of the gut. But I think they go a long way with that combination with a probiotic or like fermented food as well.
People who live in blue zones seem to have plant-based diets with grains and olive oil. How do you explain this?
I don't know if I need to explain that. This is something that people always bring up. And I would say, let's take a look at those blue zones diet. I know it very well, spend time in most of them. The Nicoyans, for instance, on the Nicoya Peninsula of Costa Rica, they have a significant amount of beef. I'm not sure people are aware of that. There are plants in their diet. I still say it's plant-based because all the beef is grass-fed. But they eat some black meats. They eat a significant amount of beef. They run sunlight. They're in a beautiful climate. But we're all Sardinians eat small amounts of meat that is made into very, very thin flatbreads. And folded into that is a copious amount of cheese and olive oil, as this person mentions, and an abundance of locally grown fruits and vegetables, as well as a wide variety of animal products eat. I would say that the Sardinian diet, spending time there in the early 1990s, would say that is a diet that could be plant-based by definition. I think that would be very misleading. The Okinawans, of course, eat a variety of sweet potatoes throughout the year, a variety of rice, but the Okinawans don't eat wheat. They don't really eat significant quantities of lectin-rich foods. So we can go through these in great detail, and I will say that these blue zones do have some of these things in their diet in varying amounts, but it's not like the amount of wheat, for instance, that you find in the American diet. It's not the amount of A1 beta-casein that you find in a North American diet. None of these populations eat kidney beans. So they can have varying levels of plants in them, and I'm not here to in any way devalue a plant-based diet. I just think it's really important to understand that not all plants are benign or beneficial. I think it's really important for people that are advocates for a plant-based diet to start to acknowledge that certain plants, whether we're talking about lectins or plants that carry high levels of agrochemicals, like soy, for instance, if we start looking at things like wheat and soy and heavily agrochemical contaminated plants as not being integral components to a plant-based diet, things that we probably want to be a little more vigilant about. And I would argue that the best plant-based diets would be those that are rich in vegetables and are rich in animal products that are completely plant-based. The animal is entirely grass-fed. So I don't think that the blue zones, in summary, are in any way evidence to anything of the contrary that we're talking about today. I would say that if you look at the blue zones, most of them have very strong communities. They tend to enjoy meals with one another. And look, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, when you take a look at the role of nutrition in influencing human health, I think it's really important that people share meals together, that they enjoy food, that we don't experience anxiety or paralysis around food. One of the things that I always feel conflicted around is that I try to share information. I really just try to share the facts. I'm not here to promote any particular way of eating, despite how it may sound, other than I try to share the science that I have become exposed to, educated around. And whether someone chooses to be vegan or entirely plant-based or paleo, I think that's up to the person. But I think that there are a wide variety of choices that we can make under any of these ways of eating. And it's good to get rid of those foods or eliminate those foods that are less compatible, that are not sustainable to the plant's environment. And that just really don't make that much sense on any level. So the one thing that I'm going with this is I really cringe at the fact that we unfortunately experience some type of isolationism by the way we eat. I think it's really important when we look at those blue zones and think about the role of nutrition in our health, that we let food bring us together. Either that we're enjoying meals together, we're coming together as a global community as a way to stand up for a population's rights or a particular aspect of environmental health that's being threatened by certain types of agriculture. And so with that, our time is up, and I really appreciate your attention this morning. I wish all of you the best and look forward to talking to you in the future. Thank you for being part of this webinar.